Good afternoon once again. Have you had a sumptuous lunch? How many of you are ready to sleep? I would also like to sleep. Would you like me to lie down horizontal on the stage? So then we can be all sleep masters together. Well, I hope I'm not going to be putting you to sleep by my speech to you today. But let me tell you, there are a lot of things that I wanted to talk to you about were very eloquently spoken by our district director-elect Sanjan Shetty. Kudos to him, congratulations again Sanjan, and thank you for that wonderful speech that showed who you are and how much care you have for our members of District 226. Friends, I prepared something to talk about, but after hearing Sanjan, I'm going to say something different. I'm going to take you back to the time when I joined Toastmasters in 2002. Yeah, I've been a Toastmaster for 24 years. And it's been a wonderful journey that I have had as a Toastmaster. But that first day that I entered a Toastmasters Club meeting, do you remember when you entered your first Toastmasters Club meeting? Yes? Those of you who are not still asleep, raise your hands and let me know that you remember that day, that first day. Okay, great. No one's asleep in the room yet. Madam District Director is watching. And do you remember the first time that you were ever called up on stage to speak at that Toastmasters meeting? I remember that very well. I remember that I was sitting back in the room watching everybody else speak and knowing really well that I can do it better than they could. I was certain I could do it better than they could. I had not gone to that Toastmasters meeting with the intention of joining Toastmasters. I'd gone there with the intention of attending the meeting and then at the end of it, telling the person who had brought me there, in fact, I would say dragged me there, that I was not interested in joining Toastmasters. All that changed when I was called upon to speak on table topics. Because just like me, I'm sure you've also experienced it, when I walked onto that stage, my legs started trembling and my heart started beating very rapidly. In fact, I thought I was having a heart attack. Have you felt that way too? Have you? A lot of you have, right? So you can understand the experience that I had. And after that excruciating 60 seconds I spent on the stage, when I went back to the seat, I knew that the people who had spoken before me and who had been such superstars, had been so confident, were truly magnificent. And I wanted to be like them. And therefore I said I must join Toastmasters. And I'm sure that's the reason why a lot of you join Toastmasters, to develop the confidence to speak to an audience like this, perhaps even an audience of 5 people, but an audience nevertheless, to be able to have the confidence, the power to come up on the stage and speak with eloquence. But the thing is that while we develop that confidence in our club and we generate the energy, the power in ourselves, we still feel powerless. You know, when we look at the headlines in the newspapers and we look at all what's happening around the world, we feel as if we are tiny, insignificant beings who really can't do anything at all in this world. You know, we're just one person. We feel that we are just this one single person. How can we impact anything? How can we change anything? And we get caught in what is called learned helplessness. Have you heard of that term? Learned helplessness, where we're made to believe that we are powerless. We can't do anything at all. We are stuck in that conundrum of not being able to do anything whatsoever. As a little boy, probably I was about 8 or 9 years old. I used to go at that time in my infancy, in that youth. I used to travel along with my parents almost every 2 years or 3 years to Kerala. I live in Delhi, and from Delhi to Kerala used to be quite a trek. It used to take almost 3 days by train. There were no airplanes traveling from Delhi to Kerala. So I used to go in a train, long train journey, and finally get to Kerala. And we'd spent all our summer holidays there, the 2 months. And my grandmother, she lived on a farm. She had a very nice, large bungalow and surrounded by fields. It was lush green, very unlike the concrete city of Delhi. And I used to love going there and chasing all the hens and the livestock that was there in that farm. And I used to absolutely get enthralled by seeing all the cows there. And my grandmother used to love milking the cows herself. There was this cow which had just recently delivered a calf, and my grandmother was milking that cow. The calf was standing close to my grandmother because if the calf had been separated, the cow would have got very anxious. So the calf was very close, and I was watching all this happening. I used to be a very naughty kid, not that I'm not naughty any longer, but at that time I was extremely naughty. And so I went out, I was watching all this happening there, and I was looking at that spectacle of my grandmother milking the cow and this calf standing there. And decided I wanted to play with that calf. So I went and pulled the calf's tail. And you can imagine what that calf must have done. It screamed and it moved away from its mother. And the cow got very agitated because I was playing with that calf and it thought that I was going to trouble it. And so it tried to run away from my grandmother. It kicked my grandmother and my grandmother fell down. And as a result, the entire milk that she had been able to get was all spilled. Now, my grandmother got into a rage and she ran after me. And as she was chasing me, she finally managed to catch hold of me. She twisted my ear and she put me in this room, a very dark room, a dingy room, which none of us children would want to go into because we were very scared about that room. We were told, there were rumors that there were ghosts in that room. But imagine a 7, 8-year-old boy into that room. Okay, Brilliant says I should go back. Okay, I love to speak more towards the front of the stage than the back because I feel that, I need to have a connection with you. But you can't see me apparently, right? Okay. So I was in that room, as you can imagine how despondent I felt, how depressed I was in that dark, dingy room. And my grandmother told me, you're going to stay in that room and there'll be no food for you for the next 24 hours. So you can imagine how hurt I was. I cried myself out, and then I finally sat down in a corner wondering what's going to happen, which ghosts are going to emerge. Next morning, I went and started banging on the door. And when I banged on the door opened. It just opened by itself. The door had not been locked. I was sitting there in the room all by myself, punishing myself, rather than even going and attempting to open the door. We get so stuck in our comfort zones that we do not want to emerge from that at all, because we feel we can't go out. That's the place where we belong, and therefore we get stuck in that. And try not to experiment at all. Try not to use that power that we have been able to generate through Toastmasters anywhere else. We don't step out of our zone of comfort, which is perhaps in this case our clubs. Now, a lot of you here have stepped out. You have come out, you've become area directors, you've become division directors, you've become district officers, you've become international officers. But a number of the members in your clubs have not used the power that they have built through Toastmasters to step out. Dr. Ralph Smedley, our founder, the founder of Toastmasters International, has created such a fabulous, magnificent organization which helps people build themselves in a laboratory of learning. This is what it is. This is a laboratory of learning that we are a part of, where we learn to experiment. And every time we experiment, we become better. And when we are willing to experiment, there will be times when we fail. But then we have this community of people along with us who will lift us up. So what's there to be scared about? So there are three ways in which you can develop that power. First, you need to transform yourself. You need to have the power to transform yourself. And transform yourself by becoming brave, by becoming courageous, by taking on responsibilities that you've not taken up yet. If in a club you have not yet served as the president, then do that. Become the president of your club. Because all that you learn as the president is going to be so much more than perhaps what a business school can teach you. If you've not yet become an area director, step up and say, I want to be an area director. Sanjan is going to be coming soon asking for people to nominate themselves. If he's not already done it, he'll be asking for people to nominate themselves as area directors. I want all of you to go and ask him to make you an area director. Okay, he should be inundated with applications for the area director position. Do you promise that? Do you promise that? I can't hear you. Okay, come on, louder, please. Are you still awake? Are you awake? Okay, those of you who said yes, can you stand up? Can you stand up, please? Those of you who said yes. My God, only 3 people, 4. That's it in this room full of probably about 150 people, only 5 people have stood up. That's very sad. 6. I count 6 now. So you don't want to step up, is it? You don't want to be area directors? Or do you want to first serve in your clubs? Oh, okay. Sit down, sit down, sit down. Thank you very much for standing. 6 is a good number too. Where is Sanjan? Is he here? There. Sanjan's made a note of all those who stood up. Good. So you have to use the power and step out. Use the table topics session to build the skills that you need in your club meetings. Anybody participates in table topics? Thank God. Everybody's awake. Now I see more hands up. I thought people had gone off to sleep now. So if you all participate in table topics, you know that that's a very powerful medium to learn a skill that we don't learn anywhere else. The power to be able to speak impromptu on any topic. When there are chaotic situations that come across your path, it's table topics that comes of use. So it's not something that you only have to use in your club. Use it everywhere, in every aspect of your life. Take the learning that you have from table topics and utilize that to transform yourself, to give you that power. Then you have the power to elevate others. We heard about evaluation. Sanjan just spoke about how he got evaluated. And it bruised his ego, he said, right? It bruised his ego, but it built him up. And that's exactly what happens. But the fact is, don't bruise the egos of people. Help build self-esteem of people. Because that's the power of feedback. You know, evaluations give us so much of power. That feedback gives us so much of power. We have the power to make, and we have the power to break. So use your words very carefully. The words that you use make a difference. And so therefore you need to be very careful of how you're going to be using the words that you do when you're providing feedback. Because you can elevate people with your words. I know of a Toastmaster who, when in the old manuals that we had, the competent communication manual, there used to be 10 speeches. She was delivering her 9th speech. The 9th speech used to be called Persuade with Power. It's now part of our new curriculum as well in Pathways. So Persuade with Power, and she had to deliver that speech. And the feedback, when it came time for feedback, for evaluation, the person who evaluated her started by saying the speech was good, thank you for delivering the speech, and then had multiple areas of improvement. Started with area 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It was a laundry list of a dozen areas of improvement. So it was a very unkind evaluation. And then he ended the speech, the evaluation, by saying, altogether it was a good speech. So after having completely destroyed the speech and destroyed the speaker, he went and sat down. And that speaker was in tears and was on the verge of leaving Toastmasters. That night, I called her and told her to repeat that speech in a different club. And she got evaluated once again. And this time, there was only one area of recommendation that she received. Whereas otherwise, she was given a whole lot of appreciation for the speech that she delivered. So rather than quitting Toastmasters, she went on to become the district director of that district. Can you imagine the power of your evaluation, the power of your feedback that it can have on the people that you're giving that feedback to? It can make or it can totally destroy. And then the third power that you have is the power to make a difference in the entire world by being a mentor to people around you, in your clubs and outside your clubs. You don't have to restrict your learning to just within Toastmasters. Toastmasters is just a tool. We're here as Toastmasters to not become better Toastmasters. We're here to be better human beings and use what we learn in Toastmasters. I said it's a laboratory of learning. So use that learning to apply to all aspects of our life. So when you've received mentoring, you've received coaching, you've received feedback, pass it along. Pay it forward. Years ago, I evaluated a speech by Brilliant, his competent communication speech, CC speech, in his club, Bombay Toastmasters Club. I was there for that speech that he had delivered, and his speech title was Pay It Forward. How many years ago was that, Brilliant? I forget. 2009, yeah. So 17 years ago, and I still remember that speech that he had delivered that day. Pay it forward. It made quite an impression. And therefore, you are responsible to pay it forward, making sure that more and more people get the benefit of what you have learned through Toastmasters. So pay it forward to the community. You have that power. My friends, you've got to use that power, but use that power wisely, in a profound manner, making sure that you're building people along the way, in your clubs, in your community, and in the entire world, because you have that power. Collectively, we have the power. Do you agree? Do you agree we have the power? So say along with me, we have the power. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmasters Deepak. We would request you to please be on stage.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Deepak Menon. What a powerful note to close on. With immense gratitude on behalf of District 98 and Eloquence 2026, we call upon distinguished Toastmaster Neha Bhatt to come up on the stage and felicitate distinguished Toastmaster Deepak Menon. Can we have a round of applause? To accompany distinguished Toastmaster Neha Bhatt, we call upon Anand Ashok and also Sanjan Shetty. Distinguished Toastmaster Sanjan Shetty, please. run, run.